Hey look, the PlayStation Drive is starting. While you wait, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon on YouTube to be notified of future goodness. If you enjoy our show, we'd love it if you gave us a 5-star review or rating on your podcast service of choice. To continue the conversation, join the Carpool Gaming Discord, where you can find a wholesome community to have a chit-chat with. For some exclusive content, you can also support us on Patreon. And finally, don't forget to check out the Carpool Gaming website for an awesome range of merch. Links to all that and more are in the show notes, but without further ado, let's get revved up for the PlayStation Drive. Whoa!
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome on in. This is the PlayStation Drive episode 172. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and I am joined, as always, by Fulia, Matt, and Ron. How are y'all doing tonight on this lovely Sunday evening or Sunday morning, depending on where you are in the world?
It's a great Sunday. Great Sunday night.
It's a good Monday morning.
It's a great Sunday. I'm all ready for the spoopy spoops for everybody. Can't wait for Halloween. Fun fact, I went to the Canada's Wonderland Halloween haunt yesterday with one and only Yon32. We got all the spoopy spoops. It was a very good time. Ryan, have you been there before?
To Canada's Wonderland?
No, Canada's Wonderland for the Halloween haunt thing, like after dark hours.
No. I've never been that cool. I've been to Canada's Wonderland once in my entire life as a teenager. In high school, we had a high school trip in physics class to go measure the physics of the rides, was the official reason why we were there. But never during Halloween, never during spooky season.
I can say that it's okay. I was hoping for more spoopy, but it wasn't too bad. I think what hindered the experience was it was really crowded. Like it took us like 40 minutes just to get into the parking lot, and then the lineups were like 40 minutes, so we only got to walk into like 4 spoopy areas. Okay. Because we ran out of time. Yeah, but there was one that was like that reminded me of the Spencer Mansion. Like it was like a haunted house, and I know, yes, and they had all these photos along the hallway. So I went up to each photo. I looked at them very closely because I was wondering, is it gonna be like a hologram where it kind of follows you as it goes? Nothing. First 8 photos, nothing. Got to the 9th photo, you know exactly what happened. Boom. Jump scare pops out of the photo and got me real good. But I loved it. I'm all for it. I had a really good time. So having a good weekend. Just excited for Halloween.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, the spooky season's right around the corner. I mean, this will be the second last show before Halloween. Like next week will be our PlayStation Drive Spooktacular episode. So please be excited about that. Yeah, we haven't even discussed what we're really doing for that. But it'll be something spooky. I assure y'all. We have to.
I'm glad I won't be here for that.
What?
That's all the more reason, Fulia, why we have to do that. In fact, Fulia, please explain to the folks why you're not going to be here next week.
So, for those of you who aren't aware, next week, as of right now, a week from today, I'll be flying out to New York City. So, I won't be on the PlayStation Drive next week, unfortunately. But I hope you have a good time with the show anyway while I'm away. And because I will be at the airport ready to board my flight.
Quick reminder, what's happening in New York? Why are you flying there?
Oh, yes, because I'm going to Extra Life.
Let's go. Woo! Let's go. Of course, Extra Life.
Let's go.
Let's go.
It's very soon. It's very soon. Did y'all know we're 2 weeks away from us invading New York for Extra Life 2024. I can't believe it either. I can't. In fact, all of us are going to be there except for Ron, which is very exciting. So,
wow.
It is very exciting.
No, again, Ron will be there in spirit. He will support.
Ryan's like, Ron won't be there. This is great.
You're going to support us in the chat.
No.
But yes, of course. So quick reminder, of course, November 1st, November 2nd and 3rd, we will be broadcasting live over on Twitch and YouTube starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Daylight Time if you want to correct me. And right here on youtube.com/carpoolgaming, as well as twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live. We'll be, of course, streaming a bunch of games in person in Rome, New York over the course of the weekend.
We're going to be in the same room together.
Yes, exactly. We will
Very
all get to
exciting.
experience
Yes.
the power of Pepsi Man together. It's going to be great. It's going to be great, y'all.
Sorry, Matt. Sorry.
Sorry, I think Brian was mistaken. Ron and Matt won't be there, unfortunately. It'll just be Fulia and Ryan and other CPO. Just Matt and Ron won't be there for Extra Life.
Matt,
Well,
Because they don't want
don't
to
you
do Pepsi
dare.
Man.
Don't you dare.
We tried to get Matt there, you know?
It's gonna be all right,
I'll
Matt.
be there.
You'll get through it.
I'll be
You'll
there.
get through it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
exactly. So make sure to, of course, check out our Extra Life cover. We will again be, of course, telling you all much more about it as we get closer. Just letting y'all know to please be excited for Extra Life. It is coming up. Also, I'm hearing a knocking on my door. A spooktacular kind of tapping on my chamber door. You know, like
Love
the
it.
Raven forevermore. Of course, we got housekeeping.
I liked it.
Housekeeping. Of course, we got our patreon.com/carpool gaming. We've got brand new content out there, including Lockless Pants episode is out this week. Garrett had an episode last week, which was also really good. So make sure to check those out. We also have Campfire with Fulia still out there, as well as the mini indie van pilot episode still up on Patreon as well. So make sure to head on over there, patreon.com/carpool gaming. Check out all the good stuff over there. Well, without further ado, let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. Time to talk about the games. I think the games we played this week. Starting with Ron, what did you play, man?
Still continuing Trails Through Daybreak. I finished the intermission last night. Some major stuff went down. I pretty much had to stop right there at that point after the intermission ending because, yeah, some stuff went down, and I had to kind of just take a moment. Big story stuff. So looking forward to seeing where it's going. Yes, Matt already.
Hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does intermission mean halfway point?
Well,
Or
here's
is
the
that-
thing.
does it
There's
mean
only
something
two
different?
chapters after this, so it's past the halfway point. I guess it's just a little thing for them to
Okay.
chill, and just relax after everything that's been happening. But chapter 5 is going to get right into it. That the way intermission ended, and from what everybody is saying, is this is where the game really gets rolling and brings it home. So I'm looking forward to it because some major stuff happened. Great game so far. So looking forward to seeing where it's going. I'm hoping I can make some progress this week. We'll see how it goes.
Nice. Well, I mean, Rybo chimes in here with the greatest comment here. I can't believe Roy's not playing Pepsi Man. It's taken me a while to process that.
It's gonna be all right, Rybo. It's all right. You saw the shade that Ryan threw. He didn't want me to be there anyway.
I always want you to be there, Ron. I'm always throwing out great ideas for things I want us to do together, and you're just like, nope, don't
Pepsi
ever
Man's
put
not
me in
happening.
charge or anything like that. You know, I try. With you, Ron.
Pepsi Man, no, that's a no go.
You know, if it's not all about the Falcon Empire, caca.
Wow,
Ron's
I
done.
don't know what that is.
Good God, I'm so delirious. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Matt, please save us. Just tell us what you played, man.
I'll try. I'll see what I can do. I played about 2 minutes of the next Backtrackers game. It's called Rain World. So we're meeting up on November 23rd. It is free on PS Extra. I don't know if it's Ron. What do you call it? I don't know if it's what do you call it? Not
What?
a gimmick.
A
But it's
setup?
$3.99. Is this? I don't know if it's a setup yet. That's right.
Okay.
I've only played 5 minutes.
You've
of
only
the
played
game.
2 minutes, so
Don't
I
know.
don't think you can get a good. Yeah.
No,
I don't know
yeah.
too much
I
about
just
Rain
got-
World. I know of it, but I don't know too much about it outside of the name and few bits about it.
Yeah. So excited to see what it is. I've just heard that it's a little bit hard. That's all I know. And there's
I don't
maybe
think you're
some
gonna
slugs.
like that one, but we'll see.
I hope there's an easy mode because otherwise, well, I think everybody knows how I like to play my games and it's not getting punished. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you are interested, it is free on PS Extra and I think it's on sale for Nintendo Switch. But I've been having a blast after rolling credits for Crisis Core because I was like, you know what? I got 2 more games in the backlog. They can wait. It's spoopy season. I'm gonna play my favorite spoopy game, which is none other than OG. That's right, the one from the PS1, Resident Evil 2. Yes, I've played it 1,049, 50 times, whatever. I don't care. I'm having so much fun just wrecking shop, just running through. You know, I know I've shared that The Last of Us Part 2, Nier Automata, they're my favorite games of all time. Resident Evil 2, like, when I jump right, especially the OG, like when I start playing it, sometimes I feel like it's this one too. Like it just brings back such powerful memories of being a 12-year-old kid, getting spooked out, and I just love it. And just the voice acting. I can't remember the voice actor for Leon. I think is it Paul Haid? Rest in peace. But like he's still got it. Like some people say it's over the top, but I find it very charming. I love every moment of it. Some parts are still spoopy, even though I know exactly where everything is. But I'm loving it. I think I'm in the underground lab, so I should be rolling credits very, very soon. Just, yeah, really enjoying it. You know what? I could go and play the next Backtrackers game, or I could go for the one full experience and do Scenario B. And
I
then
was just
flip-flop it
about
again.
to say that. You stole my bit. The fact that Resident Evil 2 is literally the ultimate one full experience game, where it's literally basically 2 games that you just
right.
get in one package.
It's Matt's.
Yep.
It's Matt's comfort food game.
It really is. And yeah, Ryan, I could go all the way. I could do, because right now I'm doing Leon A, and I could do Claire B. And if I really, really want the full experience, then I can do Claire A and then Leon B. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. Oh, question from the press pool. Yes, Ron. Yes.
Little brother, friend, you said that you have 2 games in your backlog. What
do.
are those games?
Sorry. I guess if you include the Black Trackers game, it would be 3. So outside of Rain World, it is Dragon Guard 3 and Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5 I'm worried about, because I did play it 2 years ago and I shelved it. Because I did find the stealth, like I'm a big baby for stealth, and I found it too hard. So that's why I did shelve it. And normally, most people know, like when I don't like games, like Kiku says, I'm very scared of hard games, which is actual factual. Usually when I get a hard game, I usually just toss it and just trade it in. I didn't do that for MGS 5 just because I've played MGS 1 through 4, Peace Walker. Like, this is the last one in the mainline series. So it bothers me that I haven't rolled credits on it. So that's why I do want to try one more time. But like I said, I did try it a couple years ago. Got maybe like 8 hours in, and I was like, the stealth hurts. But
I
those
think
are
you
the 2
should just
games
go
in my
weapons
backlog.
free. Just go weapons free. Just go all in.
Ron, that's how I play, and I get wrecked. All right, the AI in MGS 5? It's not like MGS 1 where it's like, oh, I guess Snake's gone, or like they keep coming after you, and they call it like backup and stuff like that. Like I don't know. So I'm a little reluctant to get back into it, but I do want to try at least one more time because I love that series. So I do want to get it done.
All right.
Yeah, but Dragon Guard 3 is right there. It's just sitting there waiting for you to play it. Matt.
I can already tell you how it
Dragon Guard 3
ends.
is-
There's a ash
Do
baby.
tell.
There's baby powder all over the place at the end of the game. A secret ending. All that. Yeah.
But what does the Ash baby mean? I don't know.
You're never gonna find out.
The Ash baby might make me cry, Ron. Like I do need to.
It's
see,
really not.
right?
If
It's a
anything,
Yoko
you're gonna
Taro
be
game.
mind boggled by what is going on, and then you just no clarification. It's crazy.
It's what I want from a Yoko Taro game. To be confused and heartbroken.
You should be used to it. You should be used to it by now. It's gonna be wild.
But yeah, that one. I'm looking forward to that one too on the PS3.
Nice. Well, that sounds like fun. Fuya, how about you? What did you play this week?
Steam Next Fest is on right now, and I've been playing quite a few demos. One of which I'm trying to bring up the video for, and it's called Locomotive, and it's actually a really cool looking, sort of like a kind of like Murder on the Orient Express, but it's more 2D graphics. You're solving a mystery, and it's got it's full voice acting as well, which is really cool. And yeah, I kind of like the look of the game. I played through the demo. It actually is quite cool. I know, Kiku. I know. It's shocking.
Demo Queen once again descends upon us.
And yeah, it's very quirky. It's really cool. And it's got a really cool art style. But you play as an attorney at law the main character, this guy in the video, in the blue jacket.
It's like Kronk.
His name's Arthur. And yeah, you just got to be solving the mystery of who killed the old lady, essentially. But is it cool? Sean says. It is very cool. I actually like it. The humor in this game is actually pretty funny. I really do enjoy that. And yeah, there's a little casino section, and there's, it's really cool. So I really enjoyed playing through that particular game's demo. Definitely worth checking out if you like that sort of thing. It's a point and click game. So you're just sort of going back and forth in the train carriages, and it's actually really cool. Another demo. Yes, Ron.
You said point and click game. Are the puzzles obtuse, or are you actually able to solve them without having to combine a rubber chicken with a tape
Are you activating
dispenser?
a light switch by using an elastic band hooked to a fish?
Yeah. Do you have to sit there and use a piece of lasagna and a paperclip? Yeah.
It is a lot more simpler than you think.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness. Because those old point and click games was wild.
It's funny, Ron, because like looking at the PlayStation Plus Extra lineup that came out this month, we got the Return to Monkey Island pop in there.
I did
and
see
that's
that.
a series that's just famous
Yes,
for all
sir.
that stuff. Just like random stuff, just jumble it all together and somehow it fits
I never
together.
finished that first one back in the day. I probably should go back with a guide now and play it, but yeah, I played it the first time, the OG one, and yeah, that just made no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, I replayed it on Xbox 360, and it's been fresh in my memory. It's like very, very silly solutions to all of its puzzles because they're just all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know how somebody did that without a guide. No.
Yeah, that's when you go down to your local EB Games and pick up a
the old Prima guides.
Prima guide, all about Secret of Monkey Island. That's how you get through it.
Yes, so another game that I managed to also play during the Steam Next Fest is a game called Wilmot Works It Out. And this is a puzzle game made by Finji, and it's actually really cool. So you're this little block that gets deliveries, and then you have to put these puzzle pieces together to make a picture. And you're just sort of like sorting things out and organizing everything, and it's very cute and colorful. It's very chill as well. And then, once you've actually managed to put these pictures together, you're able to hang them up on your wall, which is really cool. So you have like a little art gallery thing happening in your living room, essentially. So yeah, it's really cool. And I love the fact that you're just this little block, then you have to kind of like maneuver around to get it to work. So I'm really looking forward to playing that game. That one's coming out pretty soon. Another game that I played is for a game called Call of Boba. And this one is you're a little penguin who just can't handle the city life anymore, wants to go back to hometown and just chill because, it's just, the city life, working in an office is just a bit too much. So Call of Boba, the penguin's name is Boba, by the way, and you end up going back to your hometown and you bump into a friend. And they're like, oh, yeah, look, I'm running my parents' boba shop, but they're, unfortunately, I'm having a hard time trying to keep up with it and all that sort of thing. And they're like, oh, so they ask you to help. So you go and help them in this, in their boba shop. And yeah, essentially you are, it's a life sim. It's an RPG. And the RPG side of this comes in when Boba goes to sleep, and in Boba's dreams, you have to fight enemies to collect ingredients for your Boba shop. And you get to use you get to use a tapioca pearl gun to shoot at your enemies.
I'm actually quite interested in this game. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of
This sounds
far
like
out.
a game.
What?
It's far out, but I'm intrigued.
It's very cute. It is a very cute, like 2D pixel graphic game. I kind of like it. And the fact that you're making bubble tea for people, it's actually kind of cool. I really like that. So Ryan,
I like it.
Kiku, come on.
For audio listeners, Kiku chimes in and says, and we thought that Ryan played the weird games.
Look, it's an indie game. What do you want me to say? All right, indie games are going to be quirky and weird. So
I mean, it's not
It
any
can be
weirder
good.
than the puzzle building game you just showed us not too long ago. So I mean,
It is not.
With the
Or
little
other
block,
one-
the little block who makes the
Yeah.
puzzles gets
Yeah.
deliveries.
Or there's that.
Yeah,
and again, that's a
There's-
compliment, not an insult. I fully
Exactly.
appreciate the fact that you like
tapioca
the
gun.
games.
That's what did it for me. I was like, whoa.
I like it. I like it. Hit me up with them tapioca pearls. Go for it. I like it.
yes, Star. Star is already interested in what I'm talking about. Good. This is how it should be. I also managed to play another point and click style game called Lost But Found. And essentially, you are working at a lost and found booth, I suppose. I'm not quite sure if it's at like a shopping center. It's at an airport. Okay. So you're working at the lost and found booth at an airport, and you're essentially, people or customers are coming up, they're saying they've lost this, and you just hand them over the thing that they've lost. But then you also have to worry about there might be thieves coming up trying to steal stuff or trying to mug you for the money, because people who pick up their lost items will also tip you. So then you get cash so that you can upgrade your table, make it bigger and add things there to, add patience for customers to stick around. Yes, Ron?
I need to make sure I heard this right. They're going to mug you right in the airport?
Have you been
Yes.
to an airport before, Ron?
Well, I've been to an airport, especially in my city, but no stick-up jobs happen there. What?
You're just going to
Yeah.
the wrong airports, man.
They want
If
they
it don't
want
happen
your
in my
money.
city, it don't happen nowhere.
But good thing is you can protect yourself. You can either click on the thief multiple times for them to go away, or you have pepper spray on hand.
Oh, I was about to say,
Yes.
weapons free? Oh,
Nope,
Weapons
pepper,
free, baby.
pepper spray.
Pepper spray.
okay. I guess that's a weapon of some sort.
Yes. So
Just in a
it's
scooter
more of
way.
a sort of a simulation game. It does get quite chaotic though. The more items you have to hand out to customers, the more customers come in asking for things. So it does get a lot more quicker in terms of the number of people that come up to you asking for stuff. Not to mention the fact that you've just got one big table and you're getting random items come to you on like a travelator of sorts. And you have to grab them off the travelator onto your table, and then you got to sort it however it makes sense to you, so that when the customer comes in to pick it up, you're like, okay, that's what they're after, and then you hand them over. And so it does, like, it gets a little bit more challenging the
I
further
don't
you
need no
progress.
job that
So-
reminds me of my own. No, thank you. This is not a game for Ron. No, no, no.
it's actually pretty fun. So yeah, and I'm glad that I played through the demo for this, because I didn't know what to expect from it. So, and the last demo that I want to mention is for a little kind of like a cooking sim called Cook for Love, and I really like the look of this. It's really cute. It's got a really cozy sort of a art style, hand-drawn sort of art style to it. And you are essentially an apprentice chef that's about to, take over a restaurant while your head chef is, abroad working on the Orient Express. And so you learn how to make different meals, you learn recipes, and it's just really cute, sort of a very casual adventure, sort of a cooking style game, and I kind of like it. Very, very, again, another point and click game where you're just sort of grabbing things and putting things into blenders and saucepans and chopping up ingredients and all that sort of stuff. So it's actually really cool. I really like that one. Cook for Love has their, I don't know, it's got a planned release date for this year, but there's not much of this year left, so who knows?
Yeah, I was
You
just
still have time?
the year is almost over. We're only like 2.5 months away, essentially, before New Year's. At this
Yeah,
You might sneak it
pretty
in for
much.
Christmas. Maybe we'll make it in time.
Yeah.
I mean, Ron, Metal Gear Delta is apparently still scheduled for this year too. So
We know better than that.
who knows?
That ain't happening.
It's Konami. They do games quick.
Yeah.
Not
And
that quick, though.
the other thing that I did play, of course, is going to be our main topic of the
Yeah, I was
of
gonna
the
say, save it.
episode,
We'll
so
talk
I'll
about
leave
that
I'll leave it for that.
Cool. Well, Fulia, thank you so much for talking about the awesome games you played this way. And I felt like I, was taken to a place where I felt like I played games through you, talking about the games that you played this week, because I didn't really play much of anything
Okay.
this week at all. In fact, there is one thing PlayStation related that I did play that I'm surprised you, Fulia, did not put on your list of things you played this week. The Astrobot speed levels are here, y'all. Let's go. Of course, they're releasing the levels one at a time, once per week for the next 5 weeks. So I played the first level this week, and everyone is going crazy for these levels online. I don't know if y'all have been following the chatter. Everyone's been trying to beat each other's times.
Yeah, we've seen a few people talking about it.
And there's like a world record right now that people are trying to chase. Like it's turned into this whole event kind of wrapped around Astrobot, which I love because I love Astrobot. I think that game is amazing. And this level was really cool. Like it uses the dog power up, and the goal of it is just to beat the level as quickly as possible. And then you unlock 2 new bots. One is one of the bots that we saw in the trailer, but then one is one that we didn't know about. So if you haven't played it, I don't want to spoil who that is. But I thought it was really rad. I thought the level was really well done, and I can't wait for next week or even just the next 5 weeks of trying to get these levels for Astrobot, racing your friends. Like this is super cool. Like I'm chasing down people on my friends list. I have like a 33-second time on the level right now, and I'm trying to get better and better. The world record is I think 27 seconds to beat the level. So I'm like working my way up there. But I had a long week of working this week, so I didn't get to play a lot of games this week. But I'm going to just take the second. And, so Fulia doesn't have to, again, do a giant spiel. Just by talking about the random horror movies I watched this week as well. Because it's the spooky season. And I've got physicals because I've got the movie that Ben Affleck apparently is the bomb. And, of course, Phantoms. About a ancient monster that lives below a town. It's a cool movie. It's a cool movie from back in the early aughts with Ben Affleck. Of course, Paris Hilton's greatest theatrical performance, House of Wax, because he's got a wax museum where
I remember that.
It's really creepy, and it's just a fun movie. Like I just joked about how like stupid it was going to be to go see this movie or that people would enjoy it when it was first coming out. But this is a movie that I watched on home video much later and really, really enjoyed because it's just so silly. So House of Wax, got to give that a shout out. And then John Carpenter's Village of the Damned, also a great movie from the early 2000s as well, about little children that have psychic powers that want to murder all the parents in the town.
Yep.
It's a cool movie. And then, of course, the not pictured, the one that I don't have a physical for, is Boogeyman, a movie from the early 2000s about a man who's scared of his closet because the boogeyman lives in there, and it stole his dad, and he has vowed revenge against the boogeyman. So, shout out to all of the horror movies.
I don't know about this one. I have to do some research.
I mean, it had 3 sequels, Ron. 3 sequels.
Well,
That'd be good.
well,
I mean, so there you go. So those are the horror movies that I watch during spooky season, and I will continue to watch even more horror movies, especially because AMC's got that Fear Fest thing going on where all they do is just play horror movies now. It's great, y'all. It's that time of year. I'm so excited. But anyways, this is the time now where we transition to topic of the week, 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 week. So, of course, the topic of this week is all about Neva, and since I never played Neva, I'm going to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Fulia, to tell us all about Neva. Go ahead.
All right, first of all, I just want to say apologies for the background noise. I didn't expect any kind of work to be happening at the house today. Nobody told me about this. So there's going to be some rumblings and generator noises, and just so you're aware, if you can hear that.
The best part is you mentioned this like 20 minutes ago. I haven't heard anything yet.
I haven't heard anything either.
Know.
Well,
Can't hear
good.
anything.
I'm just making sure, that nobody else, if someone else does end up hearing it, you'll know why.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, okay. Neva. Holy moly. What a gorgeous, beautiful game. Neva, made by Nomada Studios, published by Devolver Digital. Man, it's just stunning to look at, just in general. Like, overall, the amount of screenshots I took from this game, you could literally use these as, like, art that you can frame and hang on the wall. That's how beautiful it is. Absolutely beautiful. The gameplay to this was actually really interesting. It's got a little bit of combat involved. So, like, especially for something that's supposed to have, like, this really emotional story to it. I wasn't expecting, like, obviously I was expecting it after seeing the trailers, but just the amount of combat that I was going to be doing, I wasn't expecting. The art style, very much inspired by Studio Ghibli from, like, Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke. Especially the enemies that you'll be fighting against. They've got this, like, white mask with this black sort of, I don't know, kind of like a gooey kind of a look to its body, like very slimy almost, but not really. But it's like a spirit of sorts. So they've definitely were inspired by the Studio Ghibli animated films. And yeah, it's very just visually appealing. Being able to so compared to Greece was their first game. That one was watercolor, whereas this one's not watercolor. This was more hand drawn. And it's just, there's no outlines. So I love that they stuck with that, with the whole no sort of like harsh sort of outlines to the characters and the world. And yeah, it sort of all just blends together really nicely. It's almost like it's sort of like acrylic paint or something like that. It's just really nice. The overall story to it, there's no voice acting to it apart from your character saying that it's calling out for Neva, which is the wolf that is in the game. And the music itself also really just captures the whole, like, the environment, the atmosphere of the actual story. They use a lot of string instruments and piano, so like violins and cellos, which really, really brings a lot of sort of melancholy to the game as well. And I really love that. It is definitely very emotional, considering the fact that, you're coming across, death, and there's this whole cycle where essentially Neva is there to Alba, who is the main protagonist that you play as, she is there to protect Neva, the little pup, the little wolf cub. And essentially, there's a whole sort of parenthood, motherhood kind of story to it, like the whole protecting your young child. And then then the child will grow, and then the child then protects you, kind of a sort of situation. And that's when, as the game progresses, Alba does need some help from Neva, and and that's kind of like the real main sort of overall story of it all, and it's done really, really well, and I really loved it. It's definitely like a 5 out of 5 for me, almost, if I was to like rate it or anything like that. Like 4.5 to 5 stars. It's just stunning. I absolutely love playing this. To the point that I ended up platinuming it. Like that's how good this game is.
Congratulations! Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
You're almost caught up to Ron at this point. We might have to take Ron's crown away from him. Put it on you.
No.
I'm close.
Ron can hold on to it.
She has time. She has time.
I still haven't finished Astrobot yet.
You know, I'm still bringing that copy of Hannah Montana the movie on PlayStation 3 to Extra Life for you. There is time.
Don't taint your list. Don't do it, Fulia. Get the right platinums on there.
If only Pepsi Man had a platinum. Like that would just be rad.
That's okay.
That'd be the raddest
No.
Even
Some games
then,
don't need
Matt will
platinum.
still not play it.
No, that's okay. Sounds like a really good game for you. I want to ask, just because I absolutely loved Greece. We played for the Backtrackers many years ago. But my experience with Greece, like I remember playing it the first time, and I had very, very high expectations just because critics loved it, internet loved it, and I remember playing it for the first time, and I didn't get destroyed by the feels. And I don't know if it's because like Fully mentioned, like I think there's no voice acting, so I was looking for like, you know, a very straightforward narrative experience, and I don't feel like Greece was like that. So I remember the first time playing it, I was like, oh, it's beautiful, the music's great, but I wasn't hitting the feels. And the second time I played it, I said, you know what, I'm not gonna be going in with expectations looking for something. I just want to see what the game has to offer. And when I played it with that perspective and that approach, destroyed me. Not a quick cry, an ugly cry. Like I absolutely loved it. Just went through the stages of grief and you know, obviously I was able to make some personal connections. So does Neva, is it a similar structure style in terms of narrative, or like where it's like open-ended, like you have to interpret things, or is it very explicit in terms of like this is the story and this is, you know, the emotional beats, or is it more open-ended like Greece?
I'm gonna say it sort of takes a little bit from Greece, but it's also it is still very linear in its storytelling. So you're playing through the different seasons, and as the seasons progress, Neva grows. But Alba still stays the same, right? So this one in particular is more about parenthood or motherhood. So you might actually like be hit a lot more emotionally compared to what I was with this particular game. So I didn't actually I found it absolutely beautiful and stunning and all that sort of stuff, but I don't think it hit me emotionally as much as it probably would for someone who does have kids or who's going through the same sort of situation with like they're looking after their parents kind of a thing. So you might actually be hit in the feels a lot more with this one compared to with Greece.
Excellent. That's what I want. I want a big old ugly cry. I don't know if everybody saw it. Seth did a live stream of Neva, and like he made a YouTube short, and he was bawling, and I'm like, yes, I want that. I want to be destroyed by the feels with the beautiful game.
I knew that's what was going to happen. I knew it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I love it. I saw that, and I was like, I want it.
Yeah, I watched after I had finished my playthrough of Neva. I watched Seth's playthrough, and I could see that it was hitting him quite emotionally as well. For me, it was a bit unfortunate in terms of timing because I was sick last week, so I couldn't really the emotions didn't really hit me as much because I was just trying to get through the pain of my cold. Not to mention the fact that my eyes have been very dry this past week, so I have my tear ducts are probably dried shut at the moment, so I wasn't able to cry either, even though I felt the emotion coming through from the game. And even when I played it through the second time to actually platinum the game, I felt still felt the emotion playing through it, and it was still a great experience in terms of playing it. So, yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna ask the big question everybody wants to know. It's two-parter, okay? My question's a one full experience, even though it's a two-parter. So number one, which game is better, Reese or Neva? And number two, are there any connections between these games to make it one full experience? Because they are being sold together on digital platforms. Maybe it is one full experience. I gotta ask.
Stop this.
I gotta ask. I'm asking. I don't know. Maybe
They're selling it as one
them
full
together.
experience, Ron. That's
No,
not
They are.
They're selling it because it's the same dev. That's where it stops.
So do tell us, for you.
I'm gonna answer part 2 first, and say they're two
Oh.
different stories. They're two
Okay.
different
No
stories.
connections.
Thank you.
No
Thank you,
connection.
Koala. They got it.
No connections. They're both emotional. They're both beautiful, and their art styles are great. But they're two different stories, so they're not one full experience. Even
That's
though
right.
they're selling it together. They're only selling it together, as Ron says, because it's from the same developers.
That's right,
What's
man.
Listen, friends. Nope. Listen, friends. I'm gonna play in 2025. I'll come back and report how it is one full experience. I'll tie them together.
mean,
Challenge
if you go to
accepted.
Now
the-
you're reaching. Now you're reaching.
If you go to the bundle page on the PlayStation Store, literally the wolf is like hanging out with both characters. Clearly, that's on something here.
Oh my god.
Thank
But
you.
I
I'll
will
report
also
back.
point out,
Yep.
I noticed something on the PlayStation Store because of course, you got me interested in this game, Fulia, because I'm
Yes.
always looking for a game that makes Ryan have a good cry. There's the Grease plus Neva bundle for $39.99 Canadian, but Grease is $5 Canadian at the moment, and Neva by itself is $26. So if you're at the moment, if Fulia won you over and you want to pick up both these games, pick them up separately right now on the PlayStation Store because they're cheaper.
Yep.
That's our deal, hot deal of the week, y'all. Please be excited. Although Grease also is on PlayStation Plus Extra, so if you have Extra, that just came to Extra this month. So
Yeah.
you can check that out too.
Please go and play Grease, because it's actually a really good. It's a really good
I've
game,
never played that
especially
game.
on PlayStation.
I have.
Oh, really? It's so
Haven't played
good.
it yet.
You haven't played it either? No way.
I got it, but it
It's-
hasn't come up yet.
Play it on PS5 and have the audio settings on the controller turned on, because there's an actual like gameplay mechanic where it gives you sounds coming through from the controller as
What?
well. Yeah, it's a hell of an experience to play the game like that.
It's on the wheel though, right, Ron? Tell me it's,
It's
on
on the wheel.
at the very
Yeah,
least.
it's been on
All
the
right.
wheel. Just
All right.
hasn't come
It's
up yet.
also short, so never like Grease is a short playthrough. I made it through in about 3.5 to 4 hours. So you could easily sit down and do this in one session, essentially. Because I think that's how they want you to play it. They just want you to sort of play it.
I want to give you a chance to catch me with the platinums, so I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to do that.
Because Grease is also similar in the sense of it's a short gameplay. I think that's also around the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's really good.
I have a question about the combat.
Yes.
Do you ever upgrade it, or is it just what you do from the beginning is what you do to the end?
So it gives you the basic combat. You have like a little rapier sword, and you use that, and that it's essentially the one button sort of hit sort of combat. As you progress in the seasons and as Neva grows, there'll be points throughout the game where Neva actually starts being more used to you. So Neva will actually help you with your combats and to solve some of the puzzles, because there is a little bit of puzzle involved in this as well.
Okay. What
yeah.
kind of puzzles are we talking? Are we talking about simple
Oh,
puzzles?
it's nothing difficult.
It's
Okay,
not
that's what I'm
that
talking
bad.
about.
Yeah,
It won't be. Yeah.
It's nothing difficult. It's more so just the platforming aspect of the puzzles, where trying to get from one side to the other and trying to get to like climbing walls and that sort of stuff.
Okay,
And there
I can
are
handle
some
those.
there are some collectibles as well. So you have to go around finding these flowers and you have to bloom them in each area. So you really do have to look for them. Some will be in places where might be a little out of reach, but you can make it. But it took me a few goes to get it. But that's the puzzle aspect of it. It's the platforming side of it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited for this. So as some people know, I've made a commitment not to buy new games in 2024, with a few loopholes. That being said, 2025, I do plan on buying new games, but I'm not sure which ones I'm going to buy right away. To be quite honest, like I'm still going to be like I got like 18, 19 games from 2024 I want to play, but the point is to save money, so I'm going to make an effort to wait for those games to go on sale. But Neva, locked in, pre-ordered for the deluxe physical copy for March 2025. So if any of the 18, 19 games that I'm waiting for to go on sale don't pop up before then, Neva will be the first exciting game for me to play in 2025. I'm very, very excited, especially because I know Fully loved it, Internet loved it. Seth had that big cry. I want that cry. I'm so hyped for this game. Looking forward to it. And there's a physical for it. Yay! Win-win for Matt. Ron, why such disapproval? Come on.
It's not disapproval. It's not disapproval. But the deep cries, the ugly cries, no thanks.
Oh, come on.
cries.
You need to do it once in
you
a
can
while.
have all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. There's been quite a few
Yeah.
games that have got me that way. I knew from the very second when they showed a wolf in that initial trailer. I already knew what was going to happen. I knew what they were trying to do. Everybody did. Everybody did. No one's going to make it out of
Never
this
saw
without
that
crying.
coming, Ron. Okay.
Oh my god.
Ryan.
Oh, you just couldn't help yourself.
Of course not. It's not over yet. We still got like half an hour left in this podcast.
Oh god.
There's still more time for Neva jokes. I mean, Ron, would never do anything like that to you.
Oh god. Anyways, Koala, I have it on my wish list.
Yes,
so I will
good.
get it eventually.
Definitely make sure it's on your wish list. I loved it. It was an amazing experience, and I would happily go back and play it again. And I already know that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab all the screenshots that I took from the game. I'm gonna make a folder and make it my PC wallpaper for like a month or so. Let it rotate through, and because that's what I do.
Nice. I mean, actually, I did something similar with Metaphor when that came out, because there was like there were a bunch of really, really good screenshot areas in that game, and I kind of did something very similar where I had like a folder of screenshots on my desktop, and it just rotated through them.
The other thing I will also mention, Neva has some really good cutscenes as well. So when you get to certain points and you're battling, like you do have boss battles that you have to combat as well. There are some really, really good cutscenes by the end of it. The other thing I will also mention in terms of the combat, although you've only got like it's a one button thing, if you're playing in adventure mode, so there's two modes. There's adventure mode and there's story mode. So adventure mode gives you a 3-hit chance. If you don't kill the enemies within those 3 hits, you die and you have to restart from your last save checkpoint. But the good thing about it is that it actually allows you to regain those 3 sort of health points, I would say, when you're hitting the enemy. So it'll regenerate the 3 health when you do like combo hits. So that's actually really good too.
Man, I saw you perk up when you heard story mode. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I saw you
I was
get
gonna
excited.
say, I was a little curious because Reese isn't a hard game. That's like, why are they adding difficulties? Like, how hard is this combat in Neva? I'm kind of curious,
no.
but
Don't you dare.
It does get a little frustrating when it gets to the more challenging bosses, but it's not too bad if you know, because there's also a dodge button, so you'll be doing a lot of dodging and hitting at the same time.
that's fine. It's like Elden Ring. This is fine.
Sort of.
sounds
yeah.
exactly like Elden Ring.
A little bit
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Fully's an Elden Lord. Let's go.
There you go. That's right. Elden Ring's the next
Cozy.
step. Let's do it.
Cozy Lord, Elden Lord.
I mean, it's on the
Cozy Lord.
docket. Ron.
Not
It's
Cozy
on the
Lord.
docket.
I'm a cozy Lord.
Oh man.
There was one other thing I was going to mention. Oh, yeah. So story mode, if you do put it on story mode, however, you can play through. You don't have to worry about those health points. And you can just play through. And no matter how many times you get hit by the enemies, you won't die. And so you'll be able to just play through it. Which is what I did for my second playthrough, just so that I could get through it without having to worry about the frustrations. So, yeah. It's a really good game. The combat's good. But it's nothing to be like, the combat is nothing to sort of like write home about. It's very simple combat. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's just there to break up things. That's all.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that there's options too. I know, Matt, you were asking why they would put difficulty settings in a game like this, but like, I do think that from with this type of game where it is so narrative focused and the combat is just kind of the almost like the filler portions, it makes perfect sense why they would have.
Yeah. It's always good to have
options.
them
Or
there.
if you just don't care about the combat, you would just want to experience the story, you just kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And the enemies that you are facing, I didn't mention this before, they are corruptions. So they sort of corrupt the world around you, the animals that you have to face. So they're the enemies that you have to fight against, which was a really cool sort of concept to this whole to the whole game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're not done with Neva yet, because we would never say goodbye to Neva. Because Drellesh has a question from the chat. I should see multiple questions about Neva. Drellesh asks, how are you all enjoying Neva? Love the aspect of how the DualSense controller is being used here, at least for that one command. I could see the pending heartbreak coming a mile away, though. So, did you like the DualSense controller for the thing Drellesh was talking about? I don't know what he's talking about.
I unfortunately didn't have my sound on for this particular playthrough because I had it switched off for previous games so that I could save the battery life in my DualSense controller. So I haven't been able to. So I completely forgot that this might have been one of those games that, to go back and turn on the sound effects back on. But so I didn't get a chance to experience that, but I'll definitely remember for next time when I go back into it and play it and just sort of actually listen to what's happening with the DualSense controller, because that's what they did with Grease. So, considering that they did that with Grease, I'm not surprised they did it with Neva as well.
Okay. So then Drellesh's next question, of course. Now my more serious question. If you compare Grease and Neva, for those that who have played Grease, what feels more well-rounded in Neva? Where do the developers push the envelope a bit more? Are there still some gameplay frustrations inherited from Grease? Would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks again, and wishing you guys a great discussion. So what do you think about this?
Thank you, Drellesh, for those questions. It's been a while since I played Grease, so I don't remember too much in terms of what happened in Grease. But comparing that to this game, it's a little hard to say in terms of whether they I think where the developers may have pushed the envelope a little bit was the combat aspect of it all, because you didn't get combat in Grease. Grease was more of a puzzle platformer, and you just sort of push through, the emotions of grief, whereas in Neva, you're battling corruptions and enemies. So I think Neva brings in the combat really nicely, where Grease didn't have that combat. And I don't know about what feels well-rounded. I think it's just in terms of the storytelling was really good. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, where you didn't have to worry about any kind of dialogue to understand what's happening in the scenes. So that was really good. And some frustrations in the gameplay that they might have inherited from Grease. Yeah, look, I can't really say too much from my own personal experience. I wasn't too frustrated. I think the only frustration I had was just the combat aspect of it, because the amount of times I died. But other than that, I think it's still, the gameplay is still really done really well. But everyone's going to have a different experience. So I personally died a lot, whereas someone else, maybe like Seth, who played through it and didn't die as much as I did. So, everyone's experience is going to be a little bit different. So, yeah, it'll depend on you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, That's will probably be not the last time we hear about Neva, because we would never stop talking about Neva on the show. We'll be back, of course, next year when Matt gets his copy of Neva in the mail. We're never going to stop here on the PlayStation Drive. Speaking of never going to stop, Cwaggy writes in and says, "It is I, the Cwaggy, king of the Xenobabes. With Spider-Man 2 coming to PC in the next few months, I'm more excited to play a PS5 exclusive than a PS4 exclusive on my new PC. There's too many new games to play, so I can watch the story synopsis of 1 and Miles Morales, and then jump into 2 with all the quality and life improvements and higher graphical fidelity."
Quack,
can
don't
you hop in?
dare.
We would
Don't
never
you dare.
ever do that.
Yeah.
Never ever do
No,
that.
thank
Quag.
you. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't.
Some games you can
How
watch
dare
a
you.
summary, story summary, or watch a Let's Play of. You don't do that to Spider-Man and Miles Morales.
And Miles
One-
Morales?
One full experience.
Let's go, Ron. Let's go. Tell it. Preach.
Yeah.
Preach one more time.
I thought I
One
was
full
going to
experience.
co-sign with Matt on the one full experience, but that's one where it actually makes sense. That is one full experience. You can't do that. Don't do that.
You
Don't
can definitely tell
disrespect.
the sky is falling when Matt starts doing Neva jokes and Ron agrees with Matt about one full experience. Like, that's how we know the coming of the apocalypse is here. It's at this point. I mean, FCO Aura MZ makes a good point here. Just buy PS5 and play.
Yes, and he's correct. Quack should just get a PS5, but he won't.
Quag,
do
just
it.
buy that PS5. Just do
He
it.
refuses. He refuses to do
Bite
it.
that bullet.
Yeah. I mean, Quaggy, even like, come on, you could play Spider-Man 2, but you should play 1 and Miles Morales. Like, you should play those games because they're good
Especially
games.
Miles. Especially Miles. Come on.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, man.
Next up, we got the captain who says, "It's spooky season. You wake up feeling groggy, something's different, but you can't quite work out what it is. You make your way to the bathroom and look in the mirror. You are shocked to see that you're somehow transformed into a protagonist from a horror game. Woo! You now have to live your life from start to finish in the horror game as the protagonist that you're from. Which protagonist is it, and which game do you choose?" Of course, Fulia, the grand master of this question, knowing all about the horror games. Please fill us in, Fulia, since you've got your hand up.
I already know what protagonist, who I am, and from what game. I am a Luigi, and I'm from Luigi's Mansion 3.
I knew it.
Let's go. Team Luigi. Yes.
I knew it was going to be
Good
either you or
answer,
Matt.
Fulia.
I knew it.
Betraying
Good
Herman
answer.
Hulst right
Team
here.
Luigi.
That is the spookiest
I'm okay with
I'll
it.
go.
I'm
I'm
okay with it.
okay with Luigi's Mansion.
Yes.
I am in Luigi's Mansion. I am a Luigi. I fully accept the fact that I am a Luigi when it comes to horror games and horror anything in general. So
You're a Ghostbuster. That's badass. No, it's good.
hey,
Good
I'm
pick.
there. I'm there
Excellent.
with my vacuum on my back, hoovering up all those ghosts.
Poltergeist
Let's go.
3000. Let's go.
With Polter
Ghost
Pup.
busting up.
Nice.
Yes. And Guigi. No, good
Yep.
answer. Good pick.
Yep.
Good pick.
There you go.
You hurt Ron.
Too bad, Ron. You can't take
No,
Luigi now.
I like
all right?
Luigi.
You can't take
I don't
Luigi now.
have a problem with that. I don't got a problem with that.
Well, I looked down and I realized, oh no, I'm Heather Mason at the mall in the cafe. We're on. I'm gonna go and spend the day at a little quaint town in the middle of nowhere called Silent Hill. You know, there's a creepy carousel there.
I
There's this
expected
guy
this.
with a
I
pyramid on his
expected
head
this.
just walking around. Like, what's the worst that could possibly happen? If because I'm in Silent Hill 3. That's the game I'm in. So there you go. What about Ron and Matt? How about you guys?
Lee Everett, man, from The Walking Dead season 1. Lee's that guy.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah, all day. Lee's that dude. So I will gladly take that role.
I like
He's a
Star's
hero.
choice
That's a good pick.
with Jill
That's a very good
Valentine. Yeah.
Also good pick, Star Athena. But should be to no surprise to everybody. I'm gonna pick Leon S. Tier
I knew
Kennedy.
it. I knew it.
Yep. Gonna be there in Raccoon City. And you know what? Doesn't matter, if I'm a rookie, because Ada Wong's gonna come and save me. That's okay. Respectfully, of course.
That's
Respectfully.
okay. There's nothing wrong being saved by Ada.
Nothing wrong with
Respectfully,
that,
Of course. Of
Of
course.
course. Or teaming up with Claire Redfield. It's all good. I don't mind the zombies as long as I get to be, Leon S. Kennedy.
But wouldn't you rather be Chris? Because then you would have the power to punch boulders with your bare hands. Like that. Think about how much power you would feel being Chris Redfield for a day.
It is very tempting if I want to be Chris Redfield and like Ryan mentioned, punching boulders. If I want to be Leon S.
Besides,
Kennedy
Sheva's
and
cool, man.
Sheva's badass. She's a very good partner to have. But I don't know, Leon, you get to roundhouse kick grannies in Resident Evil 4 and suplex and stuff like that.
But
I don't know.
punching
I'm sorry,
boulders.
what?
Punching boulders is
I mean, he's not
pretty
lying.
badass too.
He's not lying.
I know it's a hard pick. It's a very hard pick. Or like Star said, who doesn't want to be Jill Valentine? Like the Jill sandwich with Barry Burton. Like, good. This is a tough question, Cap. It's a tough
Well, that's
question.
because
It's very hard.
you would become the master of unlocking, Matt. Think about it.
Yes. See, that's
Yeah, that's
It'd
all
be
right.
so
It's
cool.
honorable mentions. That's what honorable mentions are for. It's okay. I was
right.
debating
All
on
right.
maybe being Isaac Clarke from Dead Space, but had to go with Lee.
ooh,
Yeah.
good pick. That would be a good
Have you
pick.
not seen how creepy that starship is? It's
but
really
hey,
creepy.
weapons free. Weapons free.
Weapons free.
Yeah.
Isaac Clarke stomping on Necromorphs. That's
And
okay.
Isaac's got some badass weapons. So yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that line gun. Hmm.
So the real answer is Amanda Ripley from Alien Isolation. Got it. We got
And
got
that's
it.
not a
answer.
bad
Good
choice.
pick.
That's not
That's
a
a
bad
good pick.
choice.
You got
Yeah.
literally
Yep.
no weapons there.
But there's no
You're just-
weapons there, so I would
No.
not enjoy that. That's all hiding.
Yeah,
It's all hiding and holding your breath. No thanks.
pretty much. Just hiding in lockers and hoping a scary monster doesn't eat you. Great. All right. Next up, Kiku asks, after a recent cooking mishap by a member that shall not be named, I was wondering, have you ever had an injury that prevented you from gaming or made it so that you could only play slower paced games? I broke my arm when I was little and couldn't play most things, but I played a lot of Duck Hunt until I finally got my cast off. That's an interesting story. So for me, Kiku, I've never really had like a serious injury on either of my arms or any of my fingers or anything like that, or anything that would prevent me from playing video games for an extended period of time. I do, as an old person, of course, have to deal with the thing that all signs point to gout a lot, and sometimes it affects my fingers. So sometimes I can't play games for a day, or just can't do a lot of tapping on the A button or anything like that. So that's really as serious as it kind of gets. And when those happen, I got my pile of horror movies here. I can just sit back and watch House of Wax instead of playing Mega Man or any other video games. But that's just me personally. I just never really had an experience like that. So yeah, I don't know. But what about y'all?
I try my best to take care of the hands because of I don't want to go a long time without playing my games. That is my main hobby. There was one time I messed up my finger at work, and lucky enough it was not the finger that had much to do with gaming, so I was still able to game, but it took weeks for that to heal. Yeah, that's about it though. But I do my best. I do my best to make sure there's no hand injuries. Everything else can happen, but not the hands, please.
You're like George from that episode of Seinfeld where he was discovered to be a hand model, and he was like walking around with like oven mitts on and stuff to protect his hands. From
Well,
every
unfortunately, I
different
had to use the
element.
hands at work, so I can't use the oven mitts. That's not going to work out.
Oh, okay.
There was one time I did slice my left index finger because I wanted freshly grated cheese.
I remember this.
I don't buy freshly grated. Yeah,
remember this.
I don't. Yeah, I don't buy
This
freshly grated. I
wasn't too
don't
long
do
ago
freshly
either.
grated cheese anymore. Yeah,
God.
it was that. I just buy shredded cheese now because it's not worth it. Anyways, I wanted freshly grated cheese because, for those who don't know, there's a difference between shredded cheese and cheese that you freshly grate yourself. Huge difference. Texture, taste, aroma, everything. Anyways, grating cheese, slice my left index finger, whatever, not a big deal. I learned, guess what? When you slice your fingertips, it kind of messes up the nerve damage. And I didn't know this because, it healed up and it looked fine, but it felt like a massive tingling sensation all the time. Like it was very, very off-putting, almost as if someone was like tickling the inside of my fingers. Had to look it up on the internet. Oh, look at that. Because your fingertips are generally very sensitive for obvious reasons. So when you slice them, you're kind of messing up the nerves, so it takes a bit of time. So that did happen. So I did have to switch to using like my left middle finger for trigger buttons whatever I was playing at that time. But you know what? Drop the game to story mode. Not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So there's always a way around. Right?
Oh, God.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, that sounds like the usual strategy even without hurting your finger. So it's all good.
Exactly. Made no difference.
The main thing is as long as you're having fun. right? That's the main thing.
I never really injured myself when it comes to like to be prevented from having to play games, but I know that when I suffer from, headaches and migraines, often, and that usually stops me from being able to play any kind of game or just staring at screens in general. So when that happens, and especially when they're really bad, I am just like, I need a dark room. I just need to lie back, close my eyes, and not do anything. And that I'm usually like, that kind of knocks me out for about a day. But then the following day, as long as I've got my rest and all that sort of stuff, I'm okay. So headaches and migraines usually stop me from doing anything. But I've also had the opposite effect where when I played Beat Saber, that's actually given me quite a sore back because I didn't warm up or stretch properly. So especially when you're playing maps that require you to do a lot of squats and moving side to side and all that sort of stuff.
You always got to warm up, Koala.
Yeah, I realized that after the fact.
She knows now.
I know now. So Beat Saber has caused me injury, but I haven't had any issues with injuring myself that prevented me from playing games.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Final question of the week comes to us from one Tim Paullin, who says, what do you think about Push Square's digital versus physical stats? Be interesting to know what percentage of pro purchasers also buy a disc drive. I would think the person who buys the top tier console is the sort of person that has a bit of a physical collection. I know I will be buying a drive for mine. Now, for folks that don't know, or at least here on the show, I pasted a link to this in our notes here. So this is actually an article that was put out yesterday over at Push Square by Sammy Baker. This is actually not stats that they had put together, but this is actually pulled from a Blue Sky post. I think they're called posts over on Blue Sky. I don't know what the terminology they use over there. From Matt Pescatella, who of course works over at the Circana group, aka what used to be called the NPD group. And they usually have all the sales data information for all the consoles. And he has indicated that PlayStation 5 has gone up 3% year over year from physical to digital. So last year, PS5 was at 75% of all games on PlayStation 5 were sold digitally. And this year we're at 78% year over year. What's interesting is that Xbox is even crazier than PlayStation because they're at 91%.
Yeah, man. I was not expecting these
Really?
numbers.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Like,
Didn't know that.
Xbox is almost all digital at this point. Which is why, it makes sense why, Limited Run or a lot of other, we just don't see nearly as many physical things for Xbox that come out. Or likewise, with the Metaphor ReFantazio Collector's Edition as an example, the one that didn't sell out is the Xbox version, which you can go and pick up right now, whereas the PlayStation one is long sold out at this point. But Tim Paullin makes some interesting points here. Now, I'm going to argue, Tim, is that just because if an enthusiast person of PlayStation doesn't necessarily mean that they're a physical collector as well. I don't think those necessarily go hand in hand. And I think I'm the perfect example of this because I feel like I'm a big PlayStation enthusiast, but I don't collect a lot of physical games. I just don't. I collect, as I've shown off here, I collect a lot of physical movies, and I collect a lot of old retro physical games. Mainly because with old games, I noticed the difference between playing those games on emulation versus playing with them on real hardware with a real copy. And therefore, it makes sense to have a real copy to me. Whereas games on PlayStation 5, I personally don't feel compelled to have a physical PlayStation collection simply because the game always has to install from the disc anyways. 9 times out of 10, you're always downloading the game anyways. So at that point, I especially too, because I'm not also the person that likes to resell games either. So I'm just well, why am I buying any of those games physically at all? Unless, of course, there's a deal. Because sometimes I'll pick up a game on a deal, like Astrobot's a perfect example of that, where like there was a really good pre-order bonus for Astrobot physically, so that's why I bought it physically, right? And Kiku brings up a good point as well about, physical games and stuff like that, and collector's editions in particular. Like, I like collecting collector's editions, and those are the type of, modern games I'll collect physically. But beyond that, like, when like, I don't know, something like Dragon Age is coming out in a couple weeks, I'm not, going out there and pre-ordering that game physically. I'm just going to download it digitally and play it that way. Like, that's just the way I look at it, because it saves on space in my apartment. Because I already collect enough physical stuff as it is. But I'm still really invested in the PlayStation, ecosystem, and I'm that person you're describing who wants the PlayStation 5 Pro. So yeah, I don't necessarily think those go hand in hand, but I'm curious to know what the rest of y'all think about this particular question, because that's just how I feel about it personally.
I was surprised to see the numbers that high, to be honest. I mean, I went digital, to, like I said, I was running out of space, but like you brought up a good point. After the PS3, it was just to the point where the games were downloaded anyway. You were just having a disc. It's like the game data was actually on it, so it kind of just became pointless. But I was expecting maybe more about like the upper 50%. I was not expecting 78, and especially was expecting 90% from Xbox. I was just like, man. So yeah, it does make a lot of sense why they're pretty much like, you know what, we'll just make this an add-on and we'll just give the digital, the full. This is our main model, and if you want to add on disc, then you can go get it. But yeah, really surprised by that. So it's going to be interesting to see with that, like the next 2-3 years. I'm assuming that's going to be a lot closer to 100%.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, before I go to you, Matt and Fulia, and I bring him Skycatcher's point, because I think this is a good point here. Skycatcher says, I like physical games because my kids can borrow them whenever. And yeah, I think this is a great point. Like for families, like this makes perfect sense. If you're like sharing games between people in your household, whether you've got roommates or kids and stuff, absolutely, that makes perfect sense. I know when Sean talks about his Switch collection, like that's the main reason why he says he buys those games physically, so that he can share with Chelsea or the kids. Whereas I'm in a household by myself, so it's just like I'm not really sharing them with anyone. So I'm like definitely the use case against that. But I think that's a good point, Skycatcher. And hopefully maybe in the future we see a better solution for that. But Matt or Flea, I'm curious to hear what your takes are on this.
I think in regards to Tim Paul's question about the disk drive thing, like I know it's always sold out, it's really hard to get. I would assume people who are buying the PS5 Pro, they're snatching it up as it's an option, right? Because like everyone knows, like, if you have the disk drive, then if a game goes on sale physically at Best Buy or at GameStop, you have the option, but it doesn't mean that they're gonna be, team physical strictly. So I think it's always nice to have option. That's why, like, digital's the future. Even though I am team physical, I can see the writings on the wall. And that's
right.
That's basically what it is.
Right.
I think people just want the option at least, but I don't think they actually go out of their way to only. I think myself and the few, I can't even say confidently. There's dozens of us. I don't even know how many there are.
You'd be surprised.
Out of their way to buy
I see a lot of
physical.
creators, Matt, talking about how like the all digital future is scary because they have like giant PS5 collections, and I'm like.
You can see it behind them in a lot of their videos. There's big old giant bookcases and walls of nothing but physical games. So,
like specifically PS4 and PS5 games.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
Hopefully, but yeah, I am definitely very team physical. Like I go out of my way to wait for a sale for physical. I will buy digital if the price discrepancy is massive. I'm not going to go out of my way to pay for a physical game that's twice the cost if it's much cheaper digitally. But generally I go to my physical. Video games is my favorite hobby. Like there's just such a illogical emotional attachment to these games, and physically, like I said, I've rebuilt my GameCube collection, but knowing that these aren't the games I owned when I was 20 makes a big difference. Whereas the N64 copies I have of Resident Evil 2, Ocarina of Time, like when I see it on my shelf and I know that that's the game, that's the box that was given to me when I was 13 years old from my parents at Christmas. Like there's just such an emotional attachment to it, and it's illogical because I know what's on the PS5 disc. Not much. It's just it's just data, and I gotta download the rest of it. I know that, but I'm hoping that with some of the PS5 games that I'm buying, there's gonna be one that comes close to becoming my favorite of all time, and 10-15 years later, I look at that physical copy at my shelf, and it just brings back the memories of when I was 39 years old and having a big old ugly cry from this game, and that's what I'm looking for from my physical collection. And I'm fortunate enough to have the space to display my physical stuff. So that's it for me. But yeah, I know it's quite irrational, but I love it. That's just me.
Yeah.
So with me, sort of, Kiku brings up a good point as well, that she only buys digital when it's the only option for a game. I'm similar in that respect as well. So especially when it's like a lot of indie games, they don't always have physical releases. So most of those will always be digital releases. And in that instance, yeah, okay, I don't have a choice. I'll go digital. But I'm more of a physical personally, more because of the fact that it's the store that I work for they sell the games a lot cheaper than what it is sold online in general. And so I find that for me, it's more of a cost-effective way to go in terms of buying games. If they're available physically and I'm able to buy it physically and it's cheaper than what it is on the digital store, then I would rather buy it that way. And the other good way to look at it is I can then, if I don't want to keep that, I can then trade it in for something else, which is another aspect of why I prefer physical as well. The fact that I can trade my games if I don't want them anymore or if I don't like them. So that's another reason why I'm generally more of a physical person than I am digitals. But yeah, like Kiku said, it's, if the game is only available digitally, then so be it. I'll buy it digitally. So
yeah. And you make up a good point, actually, because like it really just depends on what part of your the world you're in, because you're right. Like you've talked about this multiple times on the show, where Australia's kind of that weird place where a lot of times the physical games are actually like noticeably different in price than the digital copies. Whereas here in Canada, Matt, like almost all the times, like the prices are the same across the board. Like we don't get that many sales on a lot of current games here in Canada at all, especially Sony first party stuff. Like those games never go on sale here. Or they go on sale at the same price at the same time as the PlayStation store.
Yeah.
Like, so we just, and not only that too, but here in Canada, we just don't get like very good trade rates at all on our games. So to me, that's kind of why I just stopped trading games in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is, I've also noticed that a lot of stores are now no longer accepting like old generation games for trade-ins. Like
you
PS4
mean to
games.
tell me this copy of Dragon's Lair on the Super Nintendo, I can't just bring it in along with this copy of Inspector's Gadget's Crazy Maze and just get it traded?
You can take those to GameStop and they'll give you $2 for both.
Oh.
Would they really?
GameStop? Yeah, they'll give you $2.
Ryan, the store that I work for, they've stopped taking PS4 and Xbox One games. It's only new gen, PS5, Xbox Series X games.
Wow.
But what about a
trade-ins.
PlayStation 4 game that just came out like 2 weeks ago? Because we still have that.
There might
that's a little wild.
There might be some exceptions, but it depends on the game.
Okay.
Wow.
Because I was going to
Really
say,
depends.
we just got an announcement this week of a PlayStation 4 game that's coming out in 2026. So, I mean, that's just weird to me that they would stop doing that.
PS5 plays both.
still coming.
I'm a little bit shocked.
Yeah. But,
I don't know.
This is an interesting topic because, yeah, like I said, I like the fact that we have like a good mix here on the podcast of people who collect physical and who don't. Because, I think the point we can all agree on is like it's good that there's options, because that's the thing.
Yeah.
Even though I don't collect physical myself, I'm glad that the option's out there for people that want to do that. And,
Exactly.
I'm also, it's funnily enough, I also am getting the disc drive for my Pro, but again, it's mostly to watch 4K movies and not to actually play games with it.
And I think that's another reason why a lot of people are buying the disc drives with their PS5 Pros as well, is so that they can play their physical Blu-rays and DVDs.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a film person like myself,
Yeah.
Fulia, like I can tell the difference when watching a streaming movie versus watching a movie on disc, and it bugs me. And I can't. I just, if a movie exists on physical, I have to watch it on physical. Like that's just how I do things.
The other thing that's very noticeable, even though it's not a PS5 Pro, just the PS5 Slim at the moment, a lot of people prefer to buy the one that has the disc drive over the digital. Like there are like the disc version of the PS5 Slim is sold a lot more compared to the digital, but I am seeing an increase in sales on the digital versions. So it's getting there.
Yes. Well, anyways, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the PlayStation Drive. But before we go, of course, we got to say thank you to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Of course, this will be the point in the show where my voice finally gives out after it being all over the place here. We're going to start with our ultimate producers, Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on this podcast, as well as the Xbox Drive. You can find all of his music over at Purple Monkey Entertainment at the Linktree, linktr.ee/pme.jib. Cwagmire, who humbly reminds you that the best babes are, in fact, Xenobabes. And TechMike, who says, whether you're a Kevesi or a Agnian, you're a Xenobabe at heart. Links to all of our ultimate producers can always be found in the description of our podcast, as well as, of course, right here on Patreon. And, of course, make sure to go over there and support them because they're really awesome. Our platinum producers, Smokin Joe, Solo, the Captain, and Tim Paullin. And our gold members, Adam K., Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, BobLoblaw, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Drellesh, Emily O'Kelly, Hoppel, Jan32, Ligerwoods 330, OldMrFrump, Patrice Mallette, Peje, Shane Erickson, TheDonRob, and the Jiggy Collector. You should thank you once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. If you want to head on over there, hop in the car with us, choose the tier that's right for you. And now Ron plugs go.
Savoy Prime on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, Backlogged, True Trophies, PSN Profiles, and Savoy_Prime on Twitter.
And Matt?
You can find me as Nagachaka in the Carpool Gaming Discord, on Twitter, and in person at Extra Life. 2 more weeks, friends. Very, very exciting.
2 more weeks. Please be excited. And Fulia?
You can find me at Foolish Fuji on X and Instagram. And you can also check me out on YouTube and Twitch. You can also jump on over to... I'm just getting distracted. Ryan!
Audio listeners have no idea what the heck is happening, too. They're just like, why is Fulia just laughing about talking about her stuff?
Inspector Gadget made an appearance.
Gadget's crazy days. You'll never know when it's going to show up. Maybe it'll be an Extra Life. Who knows? Who knows?
You can find all that and more over on my website, foolishfuji.card.co.
Card, baby.
Card with 2 R's.
Card.co. As for me, you can always find me over on Twitter, aka X, at Ryan Turfing. You can also find us on X at Carpool Gaming, right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, twitch.tv/Carpool Gaming Live, and of course, podcast services around the globe. So, for Fulia, Matt, and Ron, I'm Ryan. This has been the PlayStation Drive episode 172, and we're out. Good night,
Adios,
everybody.
friends.
See you in US.
Thanks for checking out this week's episode of the PlayStation Drive. Now, before you drive off, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us at Carpool Gaming on socials. Don't forget to check out our awesome merch on carpoolgaming.com, and you can also support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, where you'll unlock all kinds of exclusive content. Links to everything are in the description.